Well, listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate.
Karoline Leavitt just stepped into The View's liberal echo chamber and completely dismantled Whoopi Goldberg in real time. This wasn't just another debate. It was a full-scale media meltdown. As Whoopi struggled to shut down the only conservative voice willing to push back, the fallout has been massive. ABC is in crisis mode, advertisers are pulling out, and now Whoopi herself is facing major consequences. Is this the end of The View as we know it? Stick around as we break down the confrontation, the backlash, and what this means for the future of mainstream media. You won't want to miss it.
I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
That was so good. So good. In a statement afterwards, this young lady claimed her, quote, on-air snub proves that you-know-who will not be treated fairly in the upcoming debate. Now, do you think this is going to make people doubt whether CNN can stay objective, or is this more the same of everybody's against me, it's all rigged, I tell you? Is everything rigged?
No, it's their MO. That's what they do. Rachel Maddow said last week, she's like, if the election is lost, it was rigged. If there's a debate.
The most divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world. We have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and sex and all of this other BS, quite frankly.
For years, The View has been a stronghold of progressive rhetoric, where conservative voices are mocked, dismissed, and steamrolled, often with Whoopi Goldberg leading the charge. But then came Karoline Leavitt. In a single explosive episode, she shattered the show's carefully controlled narrative, outmatching Goldberg with sharp arguments and an unwavering refusal to be silenced. Leavitt didn't just challenge The View's talking points, she dismantled them, piece by piece, exposing the hypocrisy and intellectual laziness that have long defined the show. The moment Goldberg accused Leavitt of benefiting from wokeness, it was more than just an insult. It was an admission of defeat. For years, the left has wielded identity politics as a weapon, but faced with a strong, articulate conservative woman, Goldberg and her co-hosts resorted to the same tired, dismissive attacks. Instead of playing the victim, Leavitt calmly and methodically exposed how wokeness has morphed from a movement of supposed inclusivity into an ideological cudgel used to silence opposition. For the first time, Goldberg had nothing left to say.
Listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on. Right. That's what you hear.
Yeah.
When they don't have anything to hold you with, nothing to make you think about what they have to say, they talk at you, not to you. And that's what she was doing. And she was doing it, and it's not new.
No.
But everybody's hip to you all now.
Yeah.
And we are anticipating that you are not prepared. Because you keep saying you going and you preparing when you're on the trail.
That you saw live on this program yesterday. Joy Behar stirring the pot of controversy after saying this about Karoline.
She's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
Do you want to take this?
No, you cannot be attractive and smart. I will try to give Joy the benefit of, well, thank you. I try to give Joy the benefit of the doubt that she didn't see that briefing. Because if you saw that yesterday on numerous topics, no big binder, I think she might have had a different impression of this young woman who held her own.
I mean, you would have to give her the benefit of the doubt that she did absolutely no research or reading about anything dealing with Karoline Leavitt before she made that remark. Because Karoline Leavitt worked, I mean, she went to St. Anselm College. She worked for WMUR
Ran for Congress?
In New Hampshire. She ran for Congress at the age of 25, put on a very good campaign. She lost by 8 or 9 points, but she still put on a good campaign. Then she was the press secretary for the Trump campaign, going on TV literally every day.
Well, heavily pregnant and a new mom.
Pregnant. Yeah, she's a new mother. And then she goes out yesterday and gives and this, again, this is speaking very objectively, because I've watched every press secretary since going back to Marlon Fitzwater. Yeah, I'm that old. And she went out there for her very first briefing at the age of 27 years old, the youngest press secretary ever, and did a terrific job.
For decades, mainstream media has functioned as an unchallenged propaganda arm of the Democratic Party, disguising partisan narratives as objective truth while vilifying dissenting voices as dangerous radicals. The View is no exception. But Karoline Leavitt's confrontation with Whoopi Goldberg was a rare moment of clarity, a moment when the media's bias was laid bare for all to see. It wasn't just that Goldberg failed to defend her position, it was that she couldn't. When faced with facts, logic, and confidence, she stammered, hesitated, and ultimately had no response. It was a humiliating defeat, not just for Goldberg, but for the entire establishment media machine that props up figures like her. The American people are waking up to the scam, and they are rejecting it in droves.
I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here. Oh, yeah. Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job. Yeah. Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason. Because black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. Yeah. See, this is not black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure.
To add one last thing, what was interesting to me is Dan Rather weighed in on X, and he said, he compared our time now to the Nixon era, which was a little scary for me. But he said, enough with both sides-ism. When one side lies intentionally and repeatedly, they are no longer entitled to the benefit of the doubt.
And we should keep in mind, too, that the people that need to hear this are the people who are running the networks that are okaying this. Because this idea, it's like they say to you now, you can only work within this perimeter. But if the facts are not clear to people, that was what a journalist was there to do, to say, in fact, this is what went on and this is how we checked. Now, we've been given doubts that people don't know how to do this. The media has pretty much always been.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help because voters are going to re-elect President Trump back to the White House very soon because voters see these trials that are being brought forward against President Trump for what they are. They are sham show trials. They are election interference in an attempt to imprison President Trump. And the irony in all of this is that Joe Biden and the Democrats and these ladies on The View constantly say President Trump is the alleged threat to democracy, when in fact they themselves are wishfully thinking that President Trump will be imprisoned when he has not been convicted of any crimes. That is the real threat to democracy. Voters see that, and that's why President Trump continues his dominance in the polls, not just with Republicans and independents, but he's also picking up historic gains with Democrat constituencies such as African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and union workers.
The fallout was swift and devastating. ABC, already struggling with plummeting ratings and a wave of lawsuits tied to The View, found itself in full-blown crisis mode. Advertisers, fed up with the never-ending controversies, began pulling their support. Even longtime fans of the show started questioning whether The View had finally gone too far. Then came the unthinkable. Whoopi Goldberg was removed from the show. ABC tried to spin it as a temporary break, but anyone paying attention knew the truth. Goldberg had become a liability. Once an untouchable force in daytime television, she was now an anchor dragging the show down. And in the media world, loyalty lasts only as long as the ratings do.
Paying a massive settlement that had executives questioning if The View was still worth the trouble. And then there was Elon Musk.
To each side. And now when we've gone to this place where you only hear this, see, we have to tell you both sides. That's why Alyssa's here, that's why Anna's here, because we don't all think the same way. And it's like you all don't think the same way, so you want to hear what other people say. But when they're lying, we can't have it. We can't allow on this show to have things said that we know for a fact are not true. That's what it used to be. That's what it needs to go back to be, and that's where y'all come in. It's okay to feel how you feel, but demand the truth. Demand folks fact check what they're telling you, because what they're telling you is important.
Be a seat. My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex.
All right.
What'd she say?
She basically said that they were going to give unqualified
God, how boring.
unqualified
Can they get
people
somebody there not
The
so
Behind
tedious?
the Table podcast needs to apply for White House credentials.
Oh, they'd love having Joy in that room.
Joy
I got a question.
So wait a second. So in other words, instead of Bob Woodward, they want Kim Kardashian? What? I don't get it.
While I vow to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House.
Boo. She's got more.
I would like to point out to each and every one of you that in 2024, when Joe Biden was in the Oval Office, or upstairs in the residence sleeping, I'm not so sure, egg prices increased 65% in this country.
Bam!
This was more than just a fiery television moment, it was a cultural shift. A clear sign that the old guard of smug, out-of-touch liberal elites is crumbling under the weight of its own hypocrisy. Karoline Leavitt didn't just win a debate, she set a new precedent. Conservatives no longer have to tiptoe around media bias, accept being shouted down, or allow themselves to be misrepresented. They can stand their ground, expose the lies, and fight back. And if one bold young conservative could leave Whoopi Goldberg speechless in just one episode, imagine what the movement as a whole can accomplish. The days of one-sided media dominance are numbered, and the American people are taking back the narrative.